Welcome in, everyone. This video is our weekly flow and charts and all that with unusual whales. So, couple quick notes before we start. So, Unusual Whales still is running their holiday sale. It actually ends tomorrow on 1/8, and this video will be for 1/8 till 1/12, and this is 2024. Their holiday sale ends then, and I will drop a code here in the description below, and then you can sign up there as well. Otherwise, you can check out my link tree and stuff that has all that. So let's get started here. We have 3 names this week to start us out with. So we have Palantir, MUNKO. So first up here, and I already pulled all the flow, so I do have some other videos on what I look for while I pull the flow. So just try to kind of make this as quick as possible for everybody, but keep it detailed. So first up is Palantir here. So we have a flow alert here on the weekly 112 puts for 80K. And looking at the volume here, bump this back to 1 day. So here's our clear entry here on the flow. We can see the volume. I would like to see how much that volume actually carries over into open interest. Looks like we had some bid side stuff here. So could see some position closures in there, but a lot of ask side volume here. So we'll see how much of that actually carries over into tomorrow. So looking at the flow feed here, it's looking a little kind of, so that's that bid side put stuff that we're seeing, and I am actually going 60 days out here with a 15K premium, which I do change periodically. You'll see that in the video as well, but earlier in the day, this is another one that's sticking out to me. We had a big, looks like in the money put for 216, and we have a lot of heavy premiums here. And looking at this, so this came in right at open. Bump this back. So here's that whale. You can see all that ask side volume versus the bid side volume. A little could have been taken off the top or something going on there. Obviously, it probably looks like this whale's still in, but obviously check that open interest or that volume and see how much carries into open interest tomorrow morning. And you can check that right in here on Unusual Whales, which is nice. Nice little hack you can do with that too is if you just hit the heart here, it'll save that contract, and you can just come right up into my trades and it'll save right in there, and then you can just easily come back there and check that in the morning as well. So I'm going to delete that out. And that was the overall flow feed there for Palantir. So we have big whales here, and actually unmark that. So those were the 40-day out whales. Could have seen, maybe, I highly doubt that's a position closure, so, but we'll see how that much of that transfers over. Obviously some looks like put rolling in here, and you can always just come in here and take a peek, and it'll kind of show you what possible strategies they're using. Take a peek at the profit loss calculator as well, which is really nice if you see a multi-leg trade and you're not super familiar with how those work. You can always just pop in here and come down here and kind of see what they're looking for. I always pop it over to that profit loss just to kind of get an idea, and obviously it looks like this person wants Palantir to drop a little bit, so potentially. So moving over to the chart, let me close out of this. So moving over to the Palantir chart, and this is on the daily here. So coming back to May of 2023, so looks like we're testing that little uptrend here, and we're sitting right on that line. Seeing a little more elevated volume here on this sell-off. RSI is getting a little down there. Obviously, this isn't a huge indicator for that, but seeing a little spike in volume there on the sell-off. So with that flow alert being more short-term and that flow feed being a little deeper in the money and further out, I kind of like taking this as a momentum entry here. So I like seeing a break below this trend line here, and that would be about 15. Let's see what we got, 1572-ish here, and I actually have it marked on this a little better. And we'll go over the contract here. So this is the break I'd like. So about this 1590-ish area. So see a break below that, and that would be my momentum. And I would give this, just with that short-term flow alert, and we do have some data coming this week, I'd give this maybe 1 or 2 sessions to trigger. 20% risk on that since it's a swing idea. And looking at the contracts, because I don't like doing these because of the theta on the weeklies. I don't like swinging weeklies, so I have the 126s marked here. So we can get below that. We have good open interest on here. Obviously, this is something you want to look for. You want to avoid contracts like this, but could either look at that 16 or 15 and a half put there. Could be viable options. So moving along here. Next up we have MU. So another one, we have repeated hits on the 112.83 puts. Pretty decent size here for how much open interest was already on there. Good premium. Let's see how clean the flow looks. Nice clean entry there on the flow. You can see a lot of ask side versus bid side. And obviously just come back here, kind of see how much of that open interest carries over in the morning. So let's look at the overall flow feed now. So let me adjust the premium a little bit. And I like to adjust the premium kind of like every 5,000 or so. And this kind of depends on obviously how much flow is coming in for this particular company. So I mean, like Tesla, if you looked at 10,000, you're going to get hundreds of thousands of trades. Now MU is a little lighter traded versus Tesla or one of those bigger mega caps. So just kind of, that's something you want to kind of learn about filtering, which I do have some more videos on that as well if you're interested. But looking here, looks like we are seeing some bid side call action here, and let's take a peek and see if this is a position closure. So this is that entry here. So easy way in, this is a nice thing too, you can just go back 14 days. I just bumped back, and to me this looks like it's a position being open, so it could be some possible call writers, call sellers, and just kind of looking at that volume versus the open interest too. So, and then also kind of combining that, and this I believe is our flow alert where we have 13. Yep, so the 83 puts for 112, so that's your flow alert. And just kind of looking through the flow, here's some more bearish flow weekly here. Just, you can always just check on that contract if you really want. Bump this back to a day. So yeah, it doesn't look like too much there. So yeah, I would say this flow's a little more bearish here. I mean, obviously you have the other flow alert here on that bid side call. So let's pull up the chart here. So MU, zoom out here. So just kind of drawing this one because this is our high here. So, and again, obviously trend lines, how you draw them, it's just very simple. I'll delete that out and just kind of give it, I mean, you just take out the highs of everything. So you don't want to go, I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to come down here and do it like that. I mean, you want to try to get as close to the top as possible without going in too deep. That's the way I like to do it. And with trend lines and stuff, because they're not 100% accurate, because everybody, you can draw anything to make it look how you want it to. So I kind of like to be on the safer side with this too as well. Obviously combining multiple factors and all that. But looking at this, looks like we're rejecting that daily coming back here to, or that daily downtrend coming back to February of 2021, March 2021, that area. We have this gap here to the upside that looks like it needs to be filled, and we also have another downside gap here as well. Seeing a little more volume here and a little less on that kind of sell-off, so but seeing more action around here right now, and we did just have a dividend date on here, so that could explain for the drop as well. So kind of, since that flow alert is more short term, and those so your flow alert 5 days there, and then you had that bid side call stuff 5 days. I like to open a position at the upside of this gap fill here, so like 84.99, since they're more short-term whales. Typically, I'd probably want to wait till that, but with the whales being short-term, that gap fill would be good enough for me. And let's see here, so contracts as well. So yeah, about 84.99 on that entry. Let me make sure. So yep, 84.99 is my entry there as well. And they are short-term whales, so I don't like playing weeklies for swing. So let's go over to the 12.19s. So either here I would target that, maybe that 82.5 put, 84 put. If this gets a little more open interest here, let's see how much volume came in here on Friday. Probably not going to want that 83. But that's the one thing I always say, look for that open interest on those. And so I'd give this one, since they're the short-term whales as well, I'd give this 1 or 2 sessions the trigger. Obviously, risk is 20% with a swing for me. So that is MU. Now let's move on to our last one of KO. So looking at Coke here, let's pull up the flow first. So another short-term whale, obviously, 94K on that. Really good size here, and obviously this sticks out to me too because look at the overall open interest here. Not a lot of open interest. This size is higher than that, and clicking on the volume, very clean entry. You can see a lot of ask side flow, or ask side volume versus bid side. And again, obviously, I like checking to see how much of that volume and open interest carries over into the next day. And let's look at the overall flow feed here for KO. So this is really bearish flow here, and let me just bump this down a little bit more just to see what we got. Yeah, so I would consider this very bearish flow here on Coke, and you can see we have some floor traders. And another nice thing with Unusual Whales, if you have a question about something, you can just hover right over there with your mouse, and it'll tell you, give you an example. So like this was executed on the floor of an exchange, so a floor trader. And you come over here, you just can see, so this is a opening trade, etc. So, but here is, I think that's a flow alert, 59 put up. So that's our flow alert, and then also you can obviously see the opening positions there. Looks like somebody could be rolling something here, and you can always come in here. And usually this stuff that says none, I try to stick away from just because it's not clear, but with the overall flow being bearish there, let's pull up that option profit calculator. So yeah, you can see that this whale more than likely wants Coke to drop a little bit. So moving back here to the flow feed. So yeah, overall flow here. Then you also have those 60-day puts here coming in at 941. Get out of here. So let's see. So yeah, it looks like, oh yeah, this whale's already making a move up, it looks like. So that's that entry there. So 61, and looks like it's hit 99. So that whale's up nicely already, but you can see how much of that volume and all that carries over here. A lot of ask side versus bid side. Now let's look at the chart. So we are looking at that long-term downtrend here, and this is the daily chart. So everything's mostly done on the daily chart for me. So that flow alert, or actually, so okay, downtrend back to April of 2022. Reject, 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 chop, then reject, reject. Getting back up there again. Looks like, so then coming back down here to actually October of this year. So we're just kind of grinding up on this little uptrend here, and right at that 200-day moving average as well. There at that little uptrend. So this looks like it's been a pretty decent support spot so far. Little lighter volume here on this run up though, and then kind of seeing volume pick up here the last 4 sessions or so. So this is Coke is a slower mover, obviously. I mean, you can see 9 cents is a kind of a bigger percentage, and that's one thing you should be looking at with stuff too, is percents. Don't kind of look at that dollar figure, how much it moves. So I'd like this to a $2 move. I would like to see this, since I'd like a discounted entry here. So I'd like this uptrend entry about 61.31, 61.34-ish here. So that would be my position opening one, just because it's a slower mover. I don't want to get caught in chop. Don't want theta to affect me as much on the contracts. So let's look at the contracts here. And I have that marked 61.36 for an entry. And I would give this one probably 1 or 2 days to trigger, see if we can get a nice little bump in the market one day and see if we can grind on up. But let's look at contracts here. So this one, kind of looking through this is stuff that I like to avoid. I mean, this is very low open interest here, and you have the theta on the weeklies. Looking at the 12 days out, could do that, but I like having a little more time. So I have the actual 216 puts marked down here. So I like that 216.60 put here if you can get up to that 61.30. So I'd give this 1-2 sessions a trigger. Again, risk, I would say 20% on here. And it's all we have for the trade. So I also want to touch on just kind of some stuff going on this week. So a little quieter week. Obviously, we have Fed speakers a couple days this week. So Bostic tomorrow. Just kind of some minor data here. Nothing hugely market moving until later this week. So we have CPI on Thursday and PPI on Friday. So keep that in mind for anybody swinging anything. I like to avoid swinging into data releases just because we don't know how they're going to be. We don't know what the numbers are. All you can do is kind of guess. But otherwise, a couple other notes. Again, just some refreshers. Again, Unusual Whales running their sale until tomorrow. 15% off. Signing up, 20% off if you upgrade. Also, Discord, I will drop that link in the description if you're interested. I offer Discord service. It's $19 a month. Very affordable, very cheap. I try to do 2 or 3 of these videos, just depending on how much flow we get a week. So keep that in mind if you want a deeper analysis. And we do break down all this economic data and earnings data. So otherwise, that is all I got this week for everybody. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Start the week out smart, and let's have a great week, everyone. Talk to everybody soon.